Jean Rhys. Okay, so Jean Rhys, White Sargasso is a short but dense literary work that becomes considerably more approachable when given to some context. And in the words of the critic N.B. Simpson, it is a text that offers ambiguous and mutually incompatible interpretive possibilities. As such, research work has been classified as a paragon of post-structuralism, a literary movement that insists upon the absence of absolute truth in the world. And to be sure, White Sargasso resist definition to an extent that many readers find frustrating. So, White Sargasso is a context and dense literary work that deals with post-structuralism, and also the context and the explanation are ambiguous and frustrating. The narrative relies upon dreamlike vision, fragmented impressions, incomplete sentences, and multiple first-person voices to create an unsettling overall sense of disorientation in the reader. So, fragmentation, incomplete sentence, multiple first narration, voices, and also the dreamlike visions. Everything that will be happening in the post-modern era, especially the term started with post-structuralism, postmodernism, post-feminism. These issues have been dealt with complexity in this novel White Sargasso. And undoubtedly the most important piece of contextual information about White Sargasso is that the novella was inspired by Charlotte Bronte's famous 19th century novel Jane Eyre. In our previous class, we have got the idea of Jane Eyre. We went through the story in brief, Jane Eyre. You will see many characters common in Jane Eyre and White Sargasso. And especially in White Sargasso, one character is not named actually, and especially that character meant a character that we met in Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre. Okay? And in Jane Eyre, the eponymous heroine accepts a position as a governess at a remote country state by the name of Thornfield Hall. Okay. She falls in love with her employer, the much older Mr. Rochester. In the same way, the eponymous, the main character of White Sargasso falls in love with a person and married him, but his name is not told in the novel. It was mean that that person is similar to Mr. Rochester. Okay, Mr. Rochester, and Rochester name is not mentioned in this novel White Sargasso. And Mason and many other characters, at least 3 or 4 characters, they are mentioned in this novel, but their names are not mentioned, and eventually agrees to marry him. On the day of their nuptial, however, it comes out that Rochester is already married and is hiding his insane wife Bertha in the attic of his mansion. Okay? And Bertha was imprisoned in an attic in Western country, especially on top of the building, there is a place, and that is called attic. And in that attic, Rochester's wife was imprisoned and chained, we can say. And it was came out that Mr. Rochester was married to an insane woman. According to Roman Catholicism, a person having a wife can't marry second time. Okay. So for this reason, the nuptial, that means the marriage ceremony, was hindered, and that was not happening. This explains the evil laughter that Jane frequently hears emanating from the third story, as well as several strange incidents that befall the incidents of the house. Jane, traumatized by the revelation of Rochester's shady past and horrified by his suggestion that she live as his mistress, flees from Thornfield, which the mad woman later burns to the ground. Bertha dies in the blaze, and Rochester is temporarily blinded, but regains his vision soon after his reunion with and marriage to Jane. The two presumably go on to live happily even after. That was the story of Jane Eyre. Where Sargasso Sea positioned itself as a prequel. Prequel, what is that? A story or film containing events which precede those of an existing world. So, Wild Sargasso Sea is the different explanation of a previous novel written by Charlotte Bronte. And if a novel is written based on a previous work, that is called prequel. Prequel. Got the point, Sanjita? অতীত কোনো ওয়ার্কের অতীত কোনো নভেলের উপরে ভিত্তি করে যদি একটা নভেল লেখা হয় সেটাকে কি বলা হয়? প্রিকুয়েল. So in that context we see many characters similar to Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre and Wild Sargasso Sea. Wild Sargasso Sea was written approximately 100 years later than Jane Eyre. And for this reason it is called prequel or prequel. And to the events described in Bronte's tale, and offers a much more nuanced and sympathetic portrait of the Creole mad woman. Creole, we have got the definition. Actually, Creole mad woman, that means Creole people, their father might be white and mother might be black African, and such kind of heritage can be called the Creole heritage. And the writer Rhys was a Creole heritage. His father was white, and her father was white and mother was black. And whenever a person will be living in a family and he or she is separated for his or her identity, naturally Creole women were not accepted by the society because they thought that they are outside of the society, because they are living in Africa but their father was British and mother was African. Okay, so the Creole man woman Bertha, there might be a similarity between Bertha and the protagonist of Wild Sargasso Sea. So the Creole mad woman Bertha, whom Rhys bestowed with the more becoming moniker and Antoinette. Spelling ta mone ache? Sorry, pronunciation ta mone ache? Antoinette. So there is a similarity between Antoinette and Bertha. Bertha was a Creole woman and he became mad, and Antoinette was a Creole woman and he became mad, and that was happened for the traumatized situation. কেন তারা এই traumatized situation এ গিয়েছিল? The traumatized situation was created living in the post-modern period. In the post-modern period, we may live with many people. We may live with an extended family. But if you can't share your feelings to someone else, then you are alone. Bertha, being a Creole woman, she was alone, and she couldn't share her feelings with others. In the same way, Antoinette, being a Creole woman, she couldn't share his feelings and his traumatized situation with others because he had Creole heritage, and the Creole heritage was considered isolated or alienated people in the society in Africa. So we see the traumatized situation common in Bertha and Antoinette, and that traumatized situation was portrayed by this novel White Sargasso Sea. The title of the novella refers to the elongated portion of the Atlantic Ocean that separates England and the West Indies. That means White Sargasso Sea. White Sargasso Sea. The work traces Antoinette's life from her early childhood years in Jamaica to her disastrous marriage to an unnamed Englishman who imprisons her in the attic of his ancestral home. The text is full of ominous foreshadowing, mostly related to Antoinette's ultimate descent into madness and her final violent assertion of agency, setting fire to the house where she is captive. She is captive. So Antoinette's the novel White Sargasso Sea started from Antoinette's early childhood and ends to her marriage, and that is the novel. And it should be noted that Rhys made two significant changes to the details of Jane Eyre as established by Bronte's more than 100 years earlier. That means Bronte's Jane Eyre was written 100 earlier than Rhys's White Sargasso Sea. First, she changed the time frame of the narrative, pushing Antoinette's childhood ahead by several decades. In Bronte's novel, which takes place between 1798 to 1808, Bertha Mason is already a grown woman, but in Rhys's work, Antoinette Causeway is still an adolescent woman. The story begins in 1834, 1 year after emancipation. Emancipation, most probably you may remember the role. That means emancipation. John Rhys's great-grandfather was the owner of a sugar farm, and in that sugar farm, many black servants had been working. But after the emancipation rule or act passed, according to the emancipation, black servant would be freed, and for this reason, what would be happen? The sugar farm didn't work well. There were no workers. According to the emancipation work, that means the black servants will be freed. So for this reason, Rhys's great-grandfather fall in danger. Fall in danger means he had a sugar farm, but there was no worker. According to the emancipation work, every worker was freed. Okay, and this the difference between two stories, that means two novels, White Sargasso Sea and Jane Eyre. Jane Eyre was written 100 years earlier than White Sargasso Sea. Another thing is that in Jane Eyre, the Bertha was a grown mad woman, but in Rhys's White Sargasso Sea, Antoinette was an adolescent girl. Okay, the story starts like this. Okay. The modification enabled rich. So what is the views of modification? Through this modification, Rhys tries to emphasize the racial tension. What is the necessity of writing a novel based on the modification or based on the previous work? Actually, Rhys wanted to emphasize the racial tension as well as antagonism of the native towards the colonizer. Colonizer, that means the British colonizer and the African. They had, of course, they had tension. One race, they colonized the African people, and for this reason, the African people are colonized. So there is a racial tension between this social setup, what we can say. That means there was no harmony between colonizer and the colonized. The revised time frame places Rhys's story as an end of empire text, while Bronte's novel takes place at the height of the British imperialism. So in the British imperialism, when in 1834 the British imperialism started, and there was no one to raise question against British imperialism. 1834 সালে বা 1808 সালে যখন হচ্ছে ব্রিটিশ কলোনিয়ালিজম স্প্রেড করছিল সারা ওয়ার্ল্ডে, তখন ব্রিটিশ কলোনিয়ালিজমের এগেনস্টে কথা বলার মতো ভয়েস ছিল না। ওকে, জেন রিচ 100 বছর পরে সেই নভেলটা লিখে এই ব্রিটিশ কলোনাইজারদের এগেনস্টে একটা ভয়েস রেজ করেছে, বেসড অন দ্য রেসিয়াল টেনশন between colonizer and the colonized. Rhys revised the lineage of the Mad Omen as outlined in JnU-Jagannath, making it so that Antoinette or Bertha is not already related to the blood of Richard Mason. Instead, she is the stepsister, as critic Judith Reskin points out. This enables Rhys to introduce Antoinette's larger colored family to the tale, and thus again to address racial issues in a more direct manner. Okay, so this is about the initial stage of this